Good evening, everybody out there on YouTube. Once again, it's three middle-aged dudes just bullshitting about nothing. I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
And Green Mouse 1.
Yes, and this week we start out our Geek Week in Review with a little bit of rumors and release information on, well, geeky TV shows and movies. One of the things that came up last week that really interested me was the fact that Warner Brothers went out of their way to announce a live-action adaptation of Fullmetal Alchemist to be released out in theaters. Now, the interesting thing about this particular one is that, to tell you the truth, I clicked on the story because I thought it was going to be another case of bloggers or article writers like complaining about whitewashing in Hollywood. But it turns out that the project is set to be directed by Fumihiko Sori, and the cast in big bold letters, like the first fucking sentence in the article was, the cast is entirely Japanese, but the setting is in Europe. Now, I love me some Fullmetal Alchemist. I have to admit that I haven't fully finished reading all of the manga volumes. And I know you guys are familiar with the property also. What are your thoughts, guys?
A live-action movie, as long as it's done correctly. But the thing about it is, they better, as long as they stick to the source material. But Europe?
Yeah. Because Fullmetal Alchemist is set in an alternate setting of Europe during the Industrial Revolution.
That's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, they went that far in order to tap into what this movie is supposed to, well, literally trying to tap into what people know about the series, so...
Well, you know what's funny about it is that, like I said, when I first looked at it, I thought it was going to be something about like whitewashing in Hollywood again. But they went out of their way to emphasize that it's going to be a full Japanese cast. When if you read the manga and you've read the characters' names and everything else, these are European people in Europe. All right, the characters are European.
Well, the only way that will work is if it's going to be a Japanese movie made in Europe for the Japanese people to understand. These Europeans would have to speak Japanese.
Yeah.
And well, I don't think that was going to be possible at this point. So,
yeah. I mean, well, the funny thing about it is that it is Warner Brothers who's handling it. So, yeah. Any thoughts on your end, Grey Mouse?
Yeah, live-action movie. I'm all for it. Let's see what comes of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd hazard to say that if you're anywhere a geek that's probably at least 20 years old, you're probably familiar with a lot of the stuff that's out there that's based off of the anime and manga and everything else. Even if you're not a big fan of anime and manga, I don't know too many people who've watched or read the Fullmetal Alchemist series, whether it be in the manga format or watched the episodes, even the ones that are... if you translate it and localized for American viewing. I don't know too many people who've actually watched them and had anything really, really bad to say about it. So it's a popular series, and I think it can work.
As long as it's not like Dragon Ball Evolution?
Yeah. You know, here's a horrible thing about a lot of you know, live action adaptations and things like that, is that I think they're still going to have to sit there and struggle with trying to make sure that the story is done cohesively, and that they don't end up trying to shove in, oh, hey, let's take 400 fucking chapters of this manga series and turn it into 90 minutes on screen.
No, fuck that. No.
Yeah, because that, you know, I don't care if it's an anime movie or OVA that I've seen that's been localized for America or just stayed, you know, in Japan with somebody subbing it. That's been like the most difficult thing that I've seen in any sort of anime adaptation for manga in general, is that we've got all these fucking chapters, and then we're just going to go ahead, you know. Earliest example that I have of that is Golgo 13. That the anime movie was released out in like 1992, 1991, and it was fucking atrocious. All right, violent as shit, but atrocious. Reason being was that the storyline that they went with was literally like 300 chapters of manga, and they shoved it into 78 fucking minutes.
It's funny how you mention that, because even when they go to manga to even anime, sometimes they condense it down.
Yeah.
But when you do it for a movie, you're trying to put it into like 90 minutes, 100 minutes, or whatever. You have to take so much of it. You can't just take this big chunk and then try to condense it down, because there will just be too many things left out, either comedy or like something that will even set up plots.
Yeah.
You'll just be missing too many things, and then it will just be ridiculous.
Well, what comes to mind with me is that you got these large anime, and also like the comic books, the manga. I mean, you got stuff like Ghost in the Shell. You got stuff like One Piece that are. I mean, there's like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books, and for you to combine them down into one 90-minute live action, you can't do that. You just need to put like. You just need to take a era, you know, maybe the most popular era of that series, and then concentrate on just that, and then, you know, make it into a live action.
Well, there is a way that they could do it. They could just totally ignore a lot of the source material, just like they did with Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, but I'd rather them not do that. And, you know,
of course, we all rather them not do that.
I mean, it's just that, you know, like I said, they should concentrate on one section, one time frame, so to speak. Because if you got 1,000 books of a manga, you're not going to get that in 90 minutes. You need to concentrate on maybe the very beginning, and then worry about maybe if it does well, make another movie.
But that's the danger about it, especially a manga that's that big and that, you know, expanded. If you make a movie out of that, and sooner or later, you have to incorporate those freaking chapters. You just have to. So to make a movie about this in the first place, that's the danger that they face.
Yeah, I mean the biggest obstacle is that it's simply just handling properly and paring down all of the source material that they have, and especially when you come to a series that's as character rich as Fullmetal Alchemist. There's a lot of side characters.
Yeah.
And it's not just Alphonse and Elric, you know, they're the two brothers. They aren't the ones who, they're at the center of everything, but there's a lot of supporting cast. And if you don't handle that right, you don't give any of those supporting cast members any real reason to be there, unless they eventually die on screen. Yeah, the only other option realistically is going out of their way and either doing what they usually do, which is an anime adaptation, or handling it through a serialized TV series, which works out with a lot of properties and ongoing stories. Heck, we've got stuff like Game of Thrones, which works out, you know, great because it's on an ongoing series. Stuff like not so much manga related, but comic book related. Daredevil series, Jessica Jones, awesome on Netflix. Simply because they decided to go ahead and take these characters and put them in a serialized format instead of giving them just 2.5 hours at most to work with. You pretty much end up with a 13-hour movie at the end of everything.
Well, a good Walking Dead. I mean, it was a comic book before it was a live-action television series, and that's an ongoing. You know, so they can't put everything that was in the comic books into the live action. But they're going to have to. I mean, in order for this to work, in my opinion, they're going to have to pick and choose. You know, there's a lot of side characters, like you said, and they're just going to have to pick and choose the correct ones that I don't know. Personally,
go ahead, Grandma.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I was just going to say this, and bottom line, it's like this. Imagine if they made a Voltron movie and you only saw 2 or 3 lions.
Yeah.
You can't have that. You have to have the whole point on why we're going to go see this. And they have so much source material, but to compress it down, you'll leave a lot of it out. So where would they end it at a certain point as far as saying, okay, we're done with this part here and we'll work on a fucking sequel? So, and like I say, that's the biggest danger about it.
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge. Like I said, the only way that you can work around that is if you end up with something that's like a live action serial, that long going series, similar to what you have going on with HBO or Netflix or other shows of that nature.
Right.